Welcome to the Artificial Intelligence Innovation Summit. My name is Gerald Hammond, and I'm with Solution People and the Artificial Intelligence Innovation Summit team. And we have a great group of people with us today. And thank you for joining in. Part of what we do is we do networking as part of our summit. And I'm going to encourage you to put your name in the chat and your LinkedIn profile URL so that people can connect up with you as well. And we have an outstanding group of speakers today. Those of you that received some emails in advance with the speaker lineup, we have all of our speakers, all 6 of our speakers are with us today. And we are changing the order a little bit because of a medical emergency, but you'll have a chance to hear all of these speakers. And one thing to keep in mind is that if you look at tomorrow, expect an email from me with a summary of today's entire summit, summarized by Zoom artificial intelligence. And it's the first time we're doing it, so expect whether you attend or you missed, you can have the opportunity to connect up with other people. My name is Gerald Solution Man Hammond. I started the Solution People Network over 30 years ago. We have the Artificial Intelligence Innovators, a group with over 1 million members, of which some of you are members of. And we have these summits. And according to LinkedIn, we've got over 41,000 people registered for this summit, and you'll have a chance to get to know them as well. I also invite you to join our community on LinkedIn, the artificialintelligence.innovators.org. Now, that's an easy URL to remember. And we've got over 1 million members. And note that LinkedIn is designated us as a active group, so we have high engagement. And if you'd like to follow me, just do a LinkedIn search for Solution Man, and you'll be able to follow me and join me. For those of you that are attending the summit for the first time, here's an overview of how they run. The summits are held every month on the 3rd Thursday of the month. So our next summit will be on August 21st, and we've already got great speakers for that. We spend about 3 hours together. The speakers share 20 slides in 15 minutes. We'll have 5 15-minute speakers. And the format is inspired by Pechakucha, which is a Japanese meeting format, and the TED Talks. And then at the end, we'll have one AI showcase speaker that presents for 30 minutes. And that it will be Carol from Microsoft. And then at the very end, we have speed networking on Zoom for the final 45 minutes, where we all go into Zoom breakouts. And you have an opportunity to connect with the speakers that you heard today, and you have an opportunity to make some new connections with other people interested in artificial intelligence. So we invite you to think about joining us on the 3rd Thursday of every month. Today we have 6 speakers, and the speaker lineup, it starts out. Is Harvey with us today? Harvey Castro? He's an ER doctor, and so he was tied up. So we are probably going to go start out with Vincent Van Schaik from the American Management Association, or AMA. He'll be the first speaker. And he's going to speak about effectively teaching AI to professionals, the human-centered approach. And he's going to share some of the latest research from AMA, which I'm sure you'll find fascinating. And then the speaker, Rick Pozniak from Move 78, will cover the 7 levels of AI competency. So that's going to be fascinating. I've seen the slides. And then James Feldman, CSP, he's going to present Prescribing the Right Voice, how AIS AIStageFinder puts health experts where the world can hear them. So James will share some technology, and if you're a professional speaker, you'll be very interested. And then we have Kevin Murnane from Northwestern University. And Kevin Murnane is going to speak on the topic of AI, data integration for mental health and leadership. I've heard Kevin speak before. He's a great speaker, and you'll want to hang around for that. And then the last uh, speaker is Carol Scott from Microsoft. She's going to be joining us. She's got a medical emergency with someone in her family. And she's going to do a 30-minute presentation called Agents of Change, how AI and agents are rapidly redefining how we work. So there you have it. Agents of Change. That's what we'll end up with today. So now I'd like to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Vincent Van Schaik. And he's going to share his screen. And Vincent, he's one of the top trainers, top facilitators for the American Management Association, and he's put together 15 minutes of wisdom. Go ahead,
All right,
Vincent.
thank you so much. Can you give me a thumbs up to see, make sure that you can see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to kick off the summit. I'm really excited to be here. Let me just get my bearings here. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to share with you how we actually make AI education more accessible for professionals in any organization. I'll walk you through, it's a very short presentation, so I'll walk you through who we are and what we do and how we do it. I'll also share with you some of the key insights from our latest research, the real challenges that organizations were facing over the last 2 years, followed with some practical next steps so you can be more empowered when it comes to AI. So over 100 years, we've been a trusted partner to many organizations across North America and the globe, helping them solve their business challenges through talent development. In the last decade alone, we've helped over 10 million professionals take our programs, learning anything from leadership to management to better communication skills. And today we offer over 160 programs, and we're especially excited to include a focus on AI to help you stay ahead of the curve and lead with confidence. So what makes our programs really stand out is the thoughtful design of our curriculum. It meets you where you are, whether you're just starting out your career or you're a seasoned professional looking to sharpen your skill or add new ones. We start with the absolute basics to make sure that everybody has a solid foundation, and then we layer in the complexity. So it's all about helping people grow with confidence and understanding. The core concepts are shared across the board, and then they branch out into real life business scenarios tailored to different roles and seniority levels. And with our immersive learning experience, you're not just absorbing information, you're inspired to challenge all assumptions and to apply your new skills. Our programs are open enrollment, so we don't have any prerequisites, just the desire to learn. Everyone leaves with something useful, and those who come in with a lot of stress and anxiety about AI, feeling unsure, walk out confident and ready to jump in. So we see a real big shift from feeling afraid to actively participating and taking a lead. What makes this change possible is our human-centered approach, because real understanding isn't just about memorizing facts or jargon. It really requires empathy, relevance, and a connection to the work you do every day. So 2 years ago, we set out to explore how organizations were adapting AI and how they were preparing their workforce. We wanted to really uncover the real challenges that they were facing and the gaps that existed in terms of where they were today and where they needed to be. So that research was really driven by this human curiosity mixed in with empathy, the core of our human-centered approach. So in 2023, our research found that employees were very optimistic and believed AI could actually help their organizations, but there was only a few that were experimenting with AI tools on their own time. The vast majority of the organizations actually had no strategy, no rules, no training. In fact, less than half had any future plans to use AI. So basically, individuals were very keen on using it themselves, but organizations were lagging behind. And so there was clearly a disconnect there. Fast forward to a year later, and it's amazing. We saw a significant change in 2024. There was a dramatic shift. 3 out of 5 employees said their organization was actively leveraging AI. That's almost double the year before. And organizations with an actual AI strategy, that tripled. And those with some kind of governance policies on using AI, that tripled as well. So the most promising finding was in training. The percentage of employees receiving training jumped 7-fold, almost 50%. It seems like once the ball got rolling, it really picked up steam. Trust in leadership also improved, which was a surprising statistic. 2/3 of employees said they trusted their managers to use AI fairly, compared to only 1/3 the year prior. We also saw that AI was being adopted across departments, so in customer service, HR, and marketing, not just IT. So momentum was growing. Good governance also made it possible for people to feel secure and empowered. But despite all that progress, there was still this other half the organization were kind of like stuck. And we wondered, what was holding them back. Half still did not have AI strategies. And even the ones that they did, they didn't even communicate it. So it really didn't do any good. And half the people still haven't received any AI training. So the majority felt behind on their knowledge. Even the ones that actually got training felt that they were behind, right? So there was this clearly this strong appetite for deeper learning, more guidance, and the need for more opportunities to apply what they learn in their jobs. So it was clear that if you don't train your people and you don't have a plan and don't set up those guardrails, you risk of falling behind. Here's a closer look in terms of the jump in terms of AI governance policies and AI strategies. Clearly you see a clear jump, but still at 50%. And here's a closer look in terms of training and trust. A significant jump, but we still, I mentioned we still have about 50% of the organization has yet to do any training. So to avoid falling behind, we have the following key recommendations. Embrace AI. Don't be afraid of it. Start small, use ChatGPT for brainstorming, maybe Copilot for emails. Just get your feet wet. Develop a strategy and establish some AI governance and policies, establish some rules, build some trust, and stop the misuse. Investing in your people is a key. They're eager to learn, capitalize on that enthusiasm, so don't leave them behind. And then once they're trained, there's this appetite to actually wanted to apply it. So give employees a chance to actually use those new skills. Training could be we see training as ongoing. So it's not just a one-off seminar or workshop, and then you're certified in AI. It needs to be ongoing. So let them practice it and apply it. We're here to help. We're here to help you on your AI journey, so you don't have to struggle on your own and stand on the sidelines. So we have a suite of learning options that will empower you and help you join in on those conversations. And our AI Mastery series actually launches today. So it is a robust, in-depth training journey with 3 selected AI courses, and you have 18 months to complete it to earn a certificate. So with that, I encourage you to visit our website to get more information. It's amanet.org/AI. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Vincent. And everybody, take a look at the QR code on the screen. Vincent's made it easy for all of you thousands of people to follow us and to follow AMA. And the website that you'll want to bookmark is amanet.org/AI. And if you go there, you'll find all kinds of resources and different courses that they have as well. And you can sign up for a free membership to AMA as well and receive their information. So thank you so much for the introduction to AMA. I'd like to see if Harvey Castro has joined us yet. Is he still in the ER?
Can't see him in here yet, Gerald.
Okay, well, that means we're gonna take a look at what's next on the schedule. And I have put in the chat the link to Vincent. And Vince, if you can put in the chat as well your link to your URL. And if the people from AMA want to upload the PowerPoint slides, then you can download them and have access to everything as well. So thank you again, Vincent, for that 15 minutes of powerful content. And now we go to a company called Move 78, which has a cool name. And the president is Rick Pozniak. And Rick is going to speak about the 7 levels of AI competency. And so you're in for a treat. Here we go, Rick. It's your turn.
Hi, everyone. Let me just get my PowerPoint working here. Okay. Okay, hi, everyone. Rick Pozniak. I'm the CEO of Move 78 Solutions. A big thank you to Gerald and the Solutions People team for including me on today's session. I'm super excited to show you a system I've created to take a subjective look at our AI skill sets. So just a quick intro on the company gives you a little insight on where I'm going. But we're a solution services company focused on B2B companies like manufacturers, wholesalers, and end users. And we work on challenges like change management, adoption, and AI and digital reskilling. We've built some really interesting tools to help quantitatively measure digital skill sets, and including AI, and then we can build programs to help address the gaps. So I'm gonna, sorry, well, that's here. I'd like to open with the story of why I chose Move 78 for the name of my company, because it does have some relevance to AI. It actually represents a significant point in time in the history of human AI interaction. It came about in 2016 when neural network AIs they still ruled the roost. Transformer technology was still over a year away. And Google DeepMind's project AlphaGo was being developed by learning to play the highly strategic game of Go. And it culminated on its final test by playing the game's brilliant grandmaster Lee Sedol. And everyone thought there was no way that AI was advanced enough to beat someone of his caliber. This game is extremely complex. But AlphaGo shocked the millions of people watching by handily beating Sedol in the first 3 games of a 5-game match. And realizing conventional strategy wasn't working in the 4th game, Sedol made a brilliant move. It was the 78th move of the game that all experts claimed was outside of even the most brilliant and bold Go moves. So he realized he had to adjust his strategy and thinking to combat the new AI challenger, and he eventually won that game. The AI sort of brought out a new level of creativity and ingenuity to even someone at the top of his game. I thought this was a great message to take out to the world. I do recommend you watch the movie. I had the QR code there if you want to look at the trailer at least. So I'm going to use the next few slides to sort of set up what my 7-level strategy is, but let's start with the why. Why increasing AI competency matters. Um, Technology moves fast, people don't. I love using that quote. It's true for all tech, but especially true when it applies to AI, where changes are occurring monthly or even weekly. Getting people to change even more rapidly may end up being one of society's biggest challenges. Um, when you hear about organizations using AI, like Vincent just previously mentioned, many of them are riding on the backs of the sort of the top third of their workforce, the early adopters, the innovators. It's the back 2/3 that are really that need to work on reskilling. And anyone who's done some tech deployments knows that in order to get the full ROI of your digital tools, you need everybody using it. So digital transformation isn't a tech strategy, it's as much a people strategy. I put this slide in here just to give you an idea of, sorry, I'm having a tech problem here. An idea of really how many people do need to get reskilled in with AI concepts and AI usage. Roughly about a little less than half of the workers, and these are U.S. numbers. They were the easiest to get. A little less than half the workforce is knowledge workers, and a little more than half are non-knowledge workers, the manual labor, transportation, hospitality, retail. So, knowledge workers are really where we're going to start with the AI reskilling. But eventually we're going to have to get the non-knowledge workers as well too. And out of that group, less than 10% are considered tech workers, whether they work for a tech company or in a tech department of a traditional company. So, those are the ones who are natively going to move to AI. We still have a big chunk of the workforce that we need to address. So AI is no longer, um, it's foundational now. And the number of quotes that are coming out saying that are just numerous. I could have, picked one from 10 minutes ago, but it's it's here and it's combined, it's LLMs, it's agentic AI that Carol from Microsoft is going to probably talk about. And it's even baked into the regular legacy platforms we use. So it's everywhere. Um, the second point here, I find this really interesting. I heard it a couple months ago at an AI conference. They used the term AI flexing, and it's people who use AI, but they kind of overestimate their abilities with it, and they're not as skilled as they think they are, and that causes a bit of a problem in the journey to AI competency. And so understanding these levels of AI competency is critical, for both organizations and employees. You have to know where you are and get beyond this illusion of fluency and uncover your real skill gaps and work on those. Okay, so we're at the 7 levels of AI competency. It started as, I came up with 7 levels or categories, and it was measuring AI competency. So using my brilliant marketing background, I came up with the title 7 Levels of AI Competency. It's really based around a simple assessment. It takes 3 to 4 minutes. And people take this, companies can give it to their employees. They can take it anonymously, which I advocate so people aren't feeling they're singled out. But then the organization rolls up the results, and you can see where your employees stand as far as percentage-wise of each of these levels. It really provides a blueprint of where you're going to do your work going forward. So I thought the model isn't meant to judge, it reveals. It gives the company a shared language to work throughout. And most importantly, it offers a path forward. So I'll go through each one of these briefly. You can kind of figure out where you fit in these categories. So First of all, the unaware. They say ignorance is bliss. This is not true in the AI world. Ignoring this is doing it at your own peril. But these are the people who still think either AI is science fiction or worse yet, a threat. They had little to no interaction with it. Often they're skeptical or anxious. For each one of these, I've attached sort of a persona example. It's not just these people or even just this specific job function, but in this case, it may be a warehouse supervisor who prefers doing things the way they've always worked. And when they're introduced to new tools, they usually balk at them. So um, this represents a big group, and we need to deal with their fears so we can get them moving on. So next one is the curious observer. These are the ones who have dipped their toes in, but not really, to a large degree. They played with Chat GPT, maybe, done something small with it. A great example might be an office admin who's fooling around with it and asked to write a birthday poem for a coworker and love the results. They're impressed, they're intrigued, but when it comes to using it at work, not so much. So this is a crucial group of people. With a bit of attention and some education, they can move up 2 or 3 levels in a relatively short period of time. Next is the casual consumer. We're starting to get into that area that I was talking about, the AI flexing. This is a person who starts to use it in their everyday life, just not usually very meaningful. They'll rewrite some emails, generate to-do lists, summarize documents. Most of the time, they rarely double check the output, so they can get into trouble there. So, oops, sorry. They're not working on the quality of their input. So again, this group with some attention and some training can definitely move up. But they really this group probably thinks this and the next group that they're there as far as AI education, but they're not. So at least though in level 4, which I call the purposeful practitioner, they're starting to use the AI tools with some intention and for specific reasons. So the sorry. A persona here may be a marketing manager a marketer who uses ChatGPT with separate applications, but is starting to get some, real use of it, learning how to prompt properly to get the proper output and reusing prompts that work. So, level 4 is a goal that would do for most companies, even if they didn't move beyond that. So level 5, though, is really where you start to get the power out of AI within the workforce or your employees. They're using AI across different platforms and integrating those. Starting to work on integrating. They build prompt libraries. They're looking at what workflows mean and how AI can help those workflows. So example that I'm using here is an HR manager who's using it to screen resumes, but is also connecting some of those tools with to a LLM like ChatGPT. So we're beginning to see the real power and use of AI with this group. So. Then once you get to group 6, the AI builder, this is the group where you're probably the highest level they're gonna reach is this one without formal coding or programming architecture experience. But the great thing about this level is the no code tools are becoming more and more powerful. So if you're using it for business applications and you know how to integrate different platforms, you can get a lot of you can get some strong use out of these no code tools. So again, this is I wouldn't say for the average user, but for strong technical users, this should be the level they achieve to. And then finally, we get to level 7. These are, this is where you've reached the top of the AI food chain. And my model, identifies them, but I give them a gold star, but then I leave them alone. This is, if you're achieving this level, you're doing some high-end AI work, whether it's coding or integrating multiple solutions. You're working with the security team, and data governance is something you're well aware of. So this is the stars of your organization. Really, the biggest challenge for leaders is, how many of these talented individuals do I need in my organization? And how am I making sure that they're happy doing what they're doing? So those are the 7 levels. And so what happens once an organization has had their people take this assessment, and they've collected the results, and they've sort of slotted their employees into these 7 levels. Well, most companies are in the first state right here, where most of their employees. I didn't include the level 7 or level 6, even level 6 in my assessment. There is going to be a few of them on here, but the vast majority of your company is going to be in this level 1 to 4 range. So your goal as a leader in a company is, what can I do to move my level 1s and 2s to level 3s and 4s, and how can I move level 3 and 4s to 5s and 6s? This is really, the nice thing about the assessment too is you can take it on a continuous basis, whether that's 6 months or 12 months, and you can watch the progress your team is making. But really, most companies should be, the way AI is advancing right now, hope to get in 12 months your company from the one on the left to the one on the right. So that's where we're going. One of the things when I created this, I asked, I used ChatGPT research on this one, and I said, given the geographics around the world, where does everyone sit? And you can see differs quite a bit. North America quite ahead, but the global numbers are not good. Really, 80% of the population around the world is just in the first 2 levels, and that needs to change. So these will be included in the notes. I added this slide here to just highlight the interesting findings I had when I was doing this research. So I suggest you download the notes and go through this. There's a lot of gold in here. And really the final thoughts I want to leave with is, you should assess yourself and see how you can move up, but you definitely should assess your teams. If you're any kind of a business leader on this call, they definitely need to move up as a collective group. So again, thank you for Gerald for the time to present here, and can't wait to have some discussions with you in the networking session.
Thank you, Rick. That was an outstanding overview. And be sure to upload your PDF into the chat so people can download your slides and all the wonderful information that you've shared. The next speaker is going to be James Feldman. And James Feldman is going to speak about finding opportunities for other keynotes. So if any of you are speakers, you'll find his presentation to be quite thought-provoking. Go ahead, James.
We can see the slides, Gerald.
Yep.
Thank you so much for bringing us together. For those of you who are looking to take this information to audiences, the question is, how do you find the audience? How do you set up an automatic system to do the heavy lifting and ultimately get you some business. So let me ask you a question. How many of you have vitamin C deficiency? Vitamin C deficiency is relevant in almost every speaker that's out there. What do I mean by that? First of all, to address it, my partner and I have come up with a product which we call the AIStageFinder. Customized, connect to the right audience, collecting the ideal speaking engagements, and adding more cash. Now, some of you are saying, well, I'm not a professional speaker and I don't need to do this. I'm an educator, etc. But think about the fact that you are a thought leader, not necessarily a subject matter expert. The moment you are a thought leader, whether you're getting paid or not paid, by being on the platform, you have the privilege of being on the platform, and that gives you credibility. So whether you are a professional or a novice, when someone is offering to hand you the mic, the answer is yes. The difficulty is fewer and fewer people are handing it to you. You've got to come up with a way to find it. So how do we do that? We basically have said, look, everybody's facing the same challenge. It takes a lot of time to find a speaking opportunity. There's plenty of opportunities that you can find in Google search and other general areas, but they're misaligned with who your audience is and who really wants to have you as the thought leader. And then, of course, you get frustrated because you do all this work and you get underperforming results. So my partner and I looked at that and said, you know, with all these AI tools out there, there's got to be a way to build a system that leverages the power of AI to create these opportunity findings. It's not creating the opportunity itself, but it, in essence, helps you find the treasure. So here's how it works. We take your bio, your LinkedIn profile, your social media, your programs, your books, your descriptions, and we train and customize the tool for you. So it's, what do they call it? A language learning model. We're teaching it about who you are, who you want to talk to, where you want to talk geographically, and in some cases, whether you want to be paid or not paid, or what your speaking range is, etc. It then comes up with targeted opportunities. What do I mean by that? It's aligned to your topic, your expertise, and your positioning. Now, some of you may say, well, I don't have a positioning statement. Part of our tool helps create it. Well, I'm not sure about my topic. Look, if you don't have a topic, then this tool is not for you. Right away, if you don't have something to share, go back to ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, whatever you're using, and decide what is your expertise with a singular focus. And that focus is, to the audience, what's in it for me? The audience basically says, if I'm going to start, then what are you going to do with that information? And in terms of that information, you're basically doing what? You're coming up with a customized application. That's time consuming. Your StageFinder identifies the attendees, identifies their challenges, identifies the organization's learning objectives, does a SWOT analysis of the organization itself, does a SMART analysis of what you do with that information, and incorporates it into your opening letter, your follow-up emails, and it even generates a 500-word article that you can give to that organization as a gift. Then what happens? It will then identify additional opportunities based on what you decided was the first one that you picked. So think about this for 1 second. The first run is up to 10 events. So let's say you said Orlando in October. You've identified who your target audience is, what your topics are, etc. It finds them for you. You pick one, and then it does a deep dive into that. It then ignores the date and moves forward into what else fits that criteria. So what are we doing? We're saving you time, we're increasing bookings, and we're boosting revenue. Now, at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see a link, and the link will take you to the AIStageFinder. Within the link, you will see the ability to learn more about the StageFinder, and if you're so inclined, find out whether it's a fit for you. But with that fit, through Gerald and his generosity, he's created a discount code for you that makes it much more affordable. Now you're sitting there and saying, well, Jim, this is a sales presentation. No, it's not. It's not a sales presentation. It's an opportunity presentation. If you're a speaker, an advisor, a coach, a scientist, an academic person, or a scholar, if you're an event planner, if you're a manager, if you're a director, if you're a medical professional, if you're an authority, if you are experts at what you do and say, this is an opportunity for you to take your knowledge in front of an audience and determine if the audience is a right fit for you, either by building up your credibility or actually making some money from all the time and effort you've put in to learning about these products and services. Now think about it. We've all spent hours, and in my case, hundreds of hours, and many others here, hundreds and hundreds of hours, learning about AI. From the last couple of presentations, you realize that we're ahead of the curve. We're in the 5 or the number 6 using the 7 competencies, and we want to share that information. Some of you may feel you want to share it complimentary. Others may say, I should get paid for it. But in either case, you've got to find the opportunity, or you start using Google search, etc., and wasting a lot of time and effort, and that's what StageFinder eliminates for you. So let me ask you a question. What's it worth to you for 1 or more speaking engagements each month? 1 a month. It's not a lot of speaking engagements. That's 12 a year. Let's assume for a moment that you get $1,000 for a speech. Most professionals get $5,000 as the minimum that they're paid. That's why they're called professional speakers or professional coaches or whatever title they go by. Multiply that times 12. You've got efficient research. You've got a higher acceptance rate. You've got a scalable growth. And you've got credible positioning. Once again, this is not intended to sell you on StageFinder, but show you how StageFinder can make you more credible, more noteworthy, more trustworthy, and perhaps, yes, more cash. Because we're all, believe it or not, vitamin C deficient. So ask yourself, with 1 speaking engagement, what happens? So I did the math. If the average speaking fee in this group is $5,000 to $25,000, and you could get a 3 to 5 times multiplier, and you could get that once a month for 12 months, and you could use this tool 24/7 because it's an unlimited license. It's an entire year of being able to find these opportunities. Why wouldn't you do it? It's tailored to the event themes and the objectives. It highlights your expertise. It addresses employee and attendee pain points, and it positions you as the speaker that is solving their problem. What do? We gather your information, as I said before. We train AI on the tool. We provide matching opportunities, and we customize the applications. In the upper right corner, once again, there's the link and there's the discount code. We want to make this easy for you. If you don't think in a year you can earn $5,000 to $10,000 as a speaker, StageFinder is not for you. You're not ready. If, on the other hand, you're already a $5,000 or more speaker or getting closer to it, StageFinder is for you. If you're somebody who wants to be a thought leader and a subject matter expert at the same time, you need to get in front of an audience that gives you that bragging right because you did something for them, which was educate them on AI. So again, tailored event marketing, customized proposals, focused outreach, and a well-trained assistant. And here's our guarantee. If you don't get at least 5 opportunities in the first 90 days, we will work with you one-on-one to figure out why you haven't and coach you at no extra charge, no extra investment. We want this to work for you. Here's how it works. We sell this all day long for $49.97. That's $5,000. Yes, people, it's $5,000. I get that. But today, if you use the word solutions, you save $1,000, and that drops it to $4,000. So again, one speech pays for it. And PayPal is partnered with us to give you 0 interest for 6 months. There's a QR code. Use your camera to grab it. But wait, there's more. There's Ginsu knives. Visit our website. We'll build your program. You'll start receiving customized opportunities. If it's not working for you, we will work with you until it does. That's the best guarantee we could possibly offer. Also, scan this code. Tell me what you thought of this talk. Put in the word Solution Man, and we'll send you the 200 top AI tools as a thank you just for attending, because some people are saying, hey, I don't want to buy StageFinder, but I did want to give you some great information that you could use in building your business. Sign up today, and I'll throw in one more bonus. 4 30-minute one-on-one advisory calls. There's links. You can copy those links, and you can take a look at how StageFinder and our business can provide you with opportunities, become a trusted advisor. Thanks for listening. I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, James. Everybody take a look at the chat because James people are going to put in the chat a PDF of the slides and all the information that you have. And I have also put a link in the chat for James's LinkedIn profile as well. So we are about to have our next speaker. But before that, I want to remind you that James D. Feldman can be found on LinkedIn, and he has a lot of resources that can help you with your AI work and getting speaking engagements. Harvey Castro, we are still waiting for him to join us. So our next speaker is going to be Kevin Murnane from Northwestern University and Beatrix Reset LLC. And Kevin has done some research that you're going to find very appealing. So Kevin, thank you for joining us today. Welcome. We can see your slides.
Thank you, everybody. It is so good to be here working with my old friend Gerald and on a very exciting topic. As we get started on the topic of AI, mental health, and leadership, I encourage everybody to be in the mindset of problem solving, of ideation. This is a critical topic that I'm researching as part of the work at Northwestern. You're going to see some of the ongoing research we're doing at Kellogg School of Management with other groups of graduate students. And I encourage all of us to put our brains in the space of how do we address with AI a problem that is obvious and getting significantly worse. So the first question that I'm going to ask everybody is, how do you feel right now about work as compared to where you were a year ago, 5 years ago, for those of you in the market, especially in technology, 10 years ago? It's a very critical question that we started to address at Northwestern, that we started to notice, especially when we were developing executive coaching assignments, when we were working with executives. We started to notice a major shift in the last 5 years during COVID. I'm Kevin Murnane. I do teach at Kellogg and at Northwestern. And before that, long before that, I had a deep interest and a commitment to data as a recovering statistician. I initially worked at AC Nielsen, and at AC Nielsen did a lot of data collection and helped develop the markets that we now know as the Nielsen surveys. And those surveys worked both in terms of television surveys and in terms of what we now know as the basis of implicating and developing choices and how you make choices. Because the overall issue is, what is it now that's impacting the workforce that requires a solution of AI? And this is one of the things that I've been doing a lot of work with. We are developing software solutions right now, working with a lot of graduate students. So especially those of you that are interested, as you follow along the slides with me, looking forward to getting your input and to getting help as we develop solutions for this very important idea that we started to address and we started to notice, is the huge amount of uncertainty about leadership and how to lead in the current environment, especially post-COVID. As you'll see in the slide, one of the things that we started to notice and we started to really get concerned about is the huge amount of anxiety, the huge amount of mental health issues that were disrupting leadership at all levels. So we're going to talk a little bit about, over the next 10 or 12 minutes, where are we now in terms of mental health? Where do we want to go? And how do we get there? For those of you following along, you're going to see the slide of a deep sea diver. And imagine how it feels when you're deep under the water and you have no idea what you're supposed to do. We then started to talk to a number of executives, and you're going to see some of that research in the presentation, about this feeling of feeling like your head is on fire and that the very tools that used to work were no longer working. This was in large part because of working on Zoom, because of no longer having the ability to create teams and have personal interaction the way that you used to. And so there was this head on fire that led us to discover that we needed a new model against which we could measure AI. And that new model, which some of you might have been exposed to, came about because of the next slide, which is, we asked a group of graduate students, how do you feel right now? And as you're going to see, the words were stunning. They were exhausted. They were tired. There was language like lost in the sauce. While there were some positive elements, we began to discover that the level of personality that impacted people that were struggling started to bifurcate, started to move in two directions. There was the primary personality, which a lot of us exhibit and we show on a daily basis. And then there started to emerge, which is where AI can really help us research this, into a level of derailed personality. You're going to see that, for those of you watching the screen, this sense of being underwater, this sense of being undermotivated, this sense of being hopeless. Now, that's not what your coworkers are going to see. That's what's stuck inside the individual. So we started to move into a different model that we wanted to start researching around how do people feel and how can we help them. And that model started to identify the more emotional levels that people were feeling. And those emotional levels we start to describe, and you'll see a screen with one of my favorite haikus. And the haiku is, "Barn is burnt down, now I can see the moon." So how can we take this level of discomfort, of anxiety, and support people? And the concept that we came up with is, how do we make small adjustments in our own work, in ourselves, and then allow that to improve our workforce, to improve our teams, to improve the overall organization. So we call that true the wheel. For those of you that are bicycle racers, you'll know that a tiny adjustment to the wheel when you're racing or riding your bike, a tiny adjustment to the spokes, can dramatically improve how fast you go, how well you steer, even how well you brake. So we moved into thinking about what are the elements of the algorithm that would predict effective behavior for when people are struggling. Now, I hope you do have this slide in front of you, but it's the slide of a tremendous baseball player, Pete Crow Armstrong, making a very difficult catch in baseball. The reason this is important and very important for our work together today is that this particular catch defied the predictive algorithm. And this catch had a 0% probability of success. Of course, I'm from Chicago, so I have to talk about the Chicago Cubs. And what's really important about this, as we move forward in using AI for mental health and leadership, is AI can only really measure past behavior. For this particular baseball catch, looking at all the data, this particular circumstance had a 0% probability of success. So when we look at AI, we need to look at a model that doesn't just identify past behavior, but looks at potential probabilities as well. So we began by looking at and designing the AI around two basic tools. One is mindfulness and one is decision making. So in the 8 minutes or so that I have left, I'm going to do something that is completely unprecedented in these large groups that we all have together, which I really appreciate. I'm going to ask everybody to be quiet for the next 30 seconds. And I'm going to ask you, I'll be quiet too, I promise. But I'm going to ask you to slowly breathe in. And as you breathe in, notice that the air that you're breathing in through your nose, if you can, is cool. And then I'm going to ask you to breathe out. And as you're breathing out, I'm going to ask you to notice that the air has changed. The air is now warm. So please, very quietly for the next few seconds, breathe in and notice that the air is cool. Breathe out and notice that the air is warm. And that's enough. To notice that the air when you breathe in is cool and the air when you breathe out is warm is a key component of the AI that starts to reach someone when they're under pressure, when they're under stress. For those of you that are currently wearing an Oura ring, you know that there's very specific data that can start to identify your emotional state. This is a key to designing future AI. So the mindfulness then works to start to identify the other key element of mental health and leadership, which is noticing how your decisions change when you're under stress and under pressure. We go back all the time in leadership development to talk about Peter Drucker, who basically said leadership is doing the right things, not doing things right. And so for that matter, we start to notice under different circumstances, using AI and using different tools, what are effective leadership decisions and what are ineffective leadership decisions. A very extensive survey by Deloitte identifies that when senior leadership is working on mergers and acquisitions, the percentage of success is under 10%. So given the level of stress that we're now under, it starts to identify how important it is to improve decision making, to notice our focus, and notice how to be in the present moment. So the slide that I'd like you to look at, which I'll review, is how disruptive workplaces are right now. At the same time that people are being asked to go back to work, last year, there was only a small percentage of CEOs that were promoting people to come back to work. This is a dramatic shift in a short period of time. While some leaders are adapting very well to this disruption, most are not. So one of the things we'll identify in where we are now is that $44 billion is lost every year because of emotional health issues. And moving on, we then identify that this is primarily because the concept of trauma has now dramatically been introduced to day-to-day workplace. Trauma being nothing more complicated than our expectations about the world being violated. So the very things that we used to expect, how we go into work, how we work, what we expect to do, the great presentations earlier about training and levels of ability to know AI start to demonstrate the wide range of discomfort and difference. So where we are right now around mental health is a significant increase in people acting differently than what they're used to acting like under normal conditions. And if you're following along with the slides, please go to the 15 categories related to leadership. This is from one of the psychiatric manuals, the DSM. And there are 15 categories that primarily direct how we feel at work. This is what's amazing, and not enough research previously has been done in these areas. Some of these are concepts that we know, anxiety and depression, but there's many more like disruptive impulses, substance abuse, that are dramatically impacting our work every day, that are open to the potential of improvement with AI. And one of the things that we then go to is we talk about what are the current tools, and many of these are being tested ineffectively. So we have a lot of chat box type of implementations that are starting to use AI, like Wobot Health. And as we take a look at some of the improvements, we also take a look at the applications that aren't being addressed, such as PTSD, complex PTSD, hybrid therapy, which is not yet proven to be effective and doesn't relate yet to leadership issues. And there are some experimentations with gamification, like the application Happify. But if we step back and we start to put our brains together about how to improve this massive problem we're facing about mental health and leadership, we notice that what the pluses are of current AI is that they're rooted in scientific foundations. They have effective leadership and funding. And just to put this in perspective, there are over 1,000 startups right now impacted in this broad area of mental health and leadership. That includes wearables, that includes issues like implants, which are right on the cutting edge of implicating how we improve our behavior. But the challenge is, and this is a slide on plus delta for current AI, is this everything that's being developed is based on the understanding of the individual to be willing to change and to be willing to admit that they have blind spots. We're doing a lot of interesting work in that area, but we have not cracked the code to gain the support of someone to get better and work with someone. And that, of course, is the value of individual therapy. So I'm going to close with this area of what's ahead, which is we have some surveys that indicate that 96% of graduate students believe that leaders impact mental health. Yet a very small percentage have effective stress toolkits. So the opportunity is for us to walk in, and in the presentation that you're looking at, you'll see a lot of individual tools, but we start very specifically with one of the last slides in the presentation, which I love, is from a terrific book from Andy Dunn called Burn Rate. Andy created a successful startup, Bonobos, while under the mental health challenge of being bipolar. In his recovery, he wrote this tremendous book identifying how much mental health challenges are facing startup leaders, which he estimates as high as 50%. So I'm going to close with this quote. Let's not celebrate crazy. Let's not stigmatize it either. Let's just deal with mental illness openly, transparently, and for everyone's sake, stop pretending it's not there, that we're not here. Andy, a beautiful quote from Andy. He's created an organization I suggest you check out called PIE or PI. And with that, I want to say how grateful I am to talk to everybody and engage your support in developing AI as we start to figure out how to deal with the challenge with mental health and leadership. Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you very much, Kevin. That was insightful, educational, and thought-provoking, and I want to thank you for doing that 15-minute presentation. And everybody, I uploaded the slides. If you look in the chat, you'll see a PDF of Kevin's full PowerPoint deck as well as information to connect up with him on LinkedIn. Here's his LinkedIn profile. And Kevin was speaker number 4. I want to see if our final 2 speakers are available. They both have medical situations. And so is Dr. Harvey available? Harvey Castro?
Harvey's not here, but Carol is available.
Oh, Carol is great. How
Hi,
wonderful.
can you hear me?
I thought, Carol, that I'd have to have you join us on 21st, so I'd already put you down for the 21st, but you're today, so I invite you to share your wisdom, and everyone will be uploading Carol's slides so you can download this as well. And I do want to encourage those of you that have joined us just recently to post your LinkedIn profile in the chat. Let people know how they can contact you. We have thousands of people that like to connect with each other about AI. And we've had Carol Scott from Microsoft speak before, and she was a very popular guest. So we're back with you again, Carol. I understand you are joining us after having attended some sales meeting.
Yes, yes.
So
Can everyone hear me okay?
it can hear you very well.
Okay, perfect. Well, a little bit of background. I'm actually delivering this from the cafeteria of a hospital where my dad, he's okay, but he's came in here and I'm here, but I wanted to go ahead and do this today. I know I could have done it later. So I probably look like I've been in a hospital all day. But so if there's a little bit of background noise, I apologize. But I'm excited to be here. Microsoft just started its FY26 fiscal year. There's been a lot of changes. I know people have heard about layoffs. We've also had record profits. Our team, I'm a senior director in the software and digital platforms team, and have about 7 billion total that we drive in agreements, about $1 billion in quota, and we exceeded that this year. And I work with our largest partners that build on Microsoft's platform. So it is an exciting time to be at Microsoft. Also, we just had our sales kickoff conference and a lot of new things on the horizon. And so when Gerald asked me to speak, I was like, I'd love to. So I'm going to focus on AI and agents today, and then some use cases, because I know we hear a lot about it. It's still early days. There is a lot going on, but where we're going, as you know, we're moving very rapidly in that space. So I'm going to do two things today. One is I have some slides I'm going to present that will be provided to you. So these are public-facing slides from Microsoft. And then also I put together a PDF that is a list of 10 different scenarios with agents. So we're going to talk about the agent manager. What would it mean if you were in a leadership role managing agents? So just to give you an idea of what's coming. And so I'll highlight that as well. So let's jump into it. I'll be honest, I rarely use Zoom because we create teams and are always on Teams. So be patient with me here as I get my content up. All right. Let's see, entire screen. All right. Hopefully you guys can see my slides and we will go from there. All right. Okay. So Microsoft has been introducing this term called a frontier firm. So we're going to talk about that. I love it because, leading the frontier is mainly saying like you go first and you're doing something different. So we're going to talk about that, AI, agents, the impact and what's coming. So, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay, so when we talk about the frontier firm, and you're going to see a lot of this coming out of Microsoft, I encourage you all to go look at the work lab. You can find it from my LinkedIn page. But the idea behind that is basically frontier firms using AI and agents to expand their workforce and redefine workflows. And that means AI at the center. So think of it as being AI first, designing around AI, designing around agents, and redesigning work for those efficiencies. And again, I don't have a ton of time here, so I'm going to zip through this content, and you will be able to have the slides. So, at Microsoft, we're data driven, and, we know there needs to be productivity, and that needs to increase. We jokingly say, when people say, do more with less, that's tough, right? But productivity has to increase. So instead of burning out, how can we use AI and agents to be more productive, but not be working crazy hours? The other thing is 82% of leaders expect to use agents to meet the demand for more workforce capacity. And I want you to also introduce you to the term of digital labor. So you're going to hear this term coming out quite a bit. What does digital labor mean? So that means AI, agents, and probably I used to work at Deloitte for a long time. I'm sure there are some consultants that came up with that term, but I actually like the way it kind of describes what's coming. Is there's digital labor. I guess we're evolving from digital transformation to digital labor now. Anyway, I can make fun of that because I am probably still talk like a management consultant. All right. And then I really like this slide because it talks about AI without strategy is AI without impact. Yes, we can do proofs of concept and things like that, but basically you need a strategy, and AI is a big investment of time and money. And so we're really big on that too. And so what is the challenge? The challenge is that AI needs execution. AI at the enterprise level is more than people prompting in ChatGPT. And yes, we know people have rogue accounts that they bring to work. Do not be putting your company's data in your own personal ChatGPT account, but you know, it needs execution, it needs workflow. And so I think, you know, we always say, oh, you have to have digital transformation or change management. This is coming. There will be agents, there will be, you know, the changes in those workflows. And then also AI insight without action. You know, you can get insight from something, but how can you take action on it? That's what's coming with agents, is you're going to get information and then you'll be able to take action on it. And it needs boundaries. I don't know if you guys heard about the McDonald's HR chatbot that got hacked into because they had AI managing AI, and then it got hacked. And, you know, so we do need governance, control, security within those parameters. The other thing, and you know, we are Microsoft, so we have cool slides here. I'll admit I didn't create these, but I love that. I love when our slides do cool things. So when you are thinking about what success looks like, right? You really want to think about, like, you know, we talk about AI as agents and AI meeting human ambition. So, you know, you're thinking about operationalizing apps. This is where the business logic lives and where humans act. And then you have to have the interfaces. Yes, there are, you know, tools out there other than Microsoft and Copilot, but for today, you know, a lot of times Copilot is underrated if you have it at the enterprise level. That is where everything lives. We have agents. We have much more than, you know, an open AI model in there, but you have to have some type of interface. I know there are others out there like Salesforce that have AI marketplaces and things like that. But, you know, at Microsoft, you know, we have really a very robust solution around these interfaces. And so you have the apps, you have to have a place where you aggregate them. I don't know about you, but I find it very annoying a lot of times to have to go to a lot of different places to find apps and things. So Copilot is really more than just a peer to ChatGPT. For us at Microsoft, Copilot is where agents live and AI capabilities and workflows and things like that. And then also the thing with agents is they act. You know, they analyze, they decide, and they act. So you can have semi-autonomous and autonomous, but I really like this, the idea of really thinking about it more broadly. And then again, it's a journey to the frontier firm, as we call it. And I really like how this is like a maturity model. Yes, consultants love a good maturity model. So phase one is, you know, a human with an assistant. And so it helps you work better. That's kind of like using Copilot, ChatGPT, or some AI tool. And then you have human-led agents. And so think about that as, okay, in Teams, we have the ability to have an agent listen into a meeting, take the notes and things like that. And as these mature, you know, they're going to take on specific tasks. And then you're going to have human-led and agent-operated. And eventually agents are going to be talking to agents, and they're going to be workflows. Now, candidly, a lot of this is like workflows of the past. And again, we like to put a new label on a lot of stuff that's been around a while, but you will have more decision-making capability and criteria. So I think this is a nice model that kind of shows how things are changing. So I want you to be thinking about too, if you're leading an organization, like I lead a large team, and you know, we do a lot with our teams and yourself, or you're an individual knowledge worker, how are you going to have to work differently? What are you going to have to know? You can know what the agent knows, but I'm always the one like, what's the underlying piece? Even if I get forecast data, I'm like, where'd you get this? Where did it come from, right? So there is going to need to be a level of understanding and competency that goes layers down instead of just being a user, but understanding those workflows. And then also, as I always say, common sense still required, is that you want to be able to look at the outputs, right? And so from a Microsoft perspective, and I'm not going to dive deep on this, but I just want to show you kind of how we're thinking about it here, is we do have Copilot, and then we do have the ability in our AI Foundry to build your own agents, but there's now a lot of pre-built agents. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of pre-built agents that work, and you have ServiceNow, you have others that have, SAP agents as well. So you can have them pre-built and configure. You can build your own. You can, whether you're using Dynamics or stuff that we have, or you have, you're integrating with other tools. We have these open protocols where we can all talk to each other. And so when you think about it, you really, and again, I'm not going to drain this slide, but I do want to emphasize enterprise grade security, governance, and compliance. I'm not anti-open source, but you better make sure you know what you're dealing with. And then also, especially on the security side, and you want to be able to gain that edge and deploy fast, but you want to do it safe. So quickly here, this is just a high level slide of, yes, we have AI everywhere at Microsoft, almost 10% higher revenue per seller, which is good because we have really high quotas. We get paid well, but we have a lot expected of us. Increased conversion rates in marketing. Look at this in finance, 60% reduction in case resolution time for cash collections. Everybody likes to get paid. And then we're also seeing it in with our customer support of things getting routed faster. And ultimately, we want to have more self-service. So we are implementing as much internally as you're seeing externally. You'll have these slides, but these are just examples across the board. But look at this number on the left. You have 90% of Fortune 500 have used Copilot Studio or Copilot in the native agent form. So again, I just want to emphasize, and again, I'm not here to do a sales pitch for Microsoft, but I do want to say that Copilot is not just ChatGPT. It is a whole ecosystem and window into the ability to aggregate multiple agents from different places and sit on top of your data and your graph and your company's data. And that's the exciting thing in an enterprise or a company, is you actually get blended results that pull from your data, that pull from company data that you have access to all securely, and then pulling information from the outside. So I'm going to hit on this quickly. I'm sure all of you have heard about agents, but I do think it's important to start understanding the taxonomy around it. And it's automating and executing these business processes, working alongside or behalf of a person, team, or organization. So again, alongside or on behalf. I do like to know, okay, what if this agent is working on my behalf? You want to make sure that it is representing you well. I'll just say that. So, and when we go from the left to the right, we're looking at retrieval, gathering information. We're all familiar with that, moving to tasks, and then moving to being autonomous. And complex is not always better. I will just say that. So, and then if you look at a continuum of solutions, again, you'll have this going from, how do I connect to the network? We're familiar with that, more simple types of things, going all the way to there's an issue and it triggers different agents to go and get information or different workflows and things like that. All right. And so as I talked about, we use Copilot as a user interface for AI. You do want to have some type of interface if you're deploying agents at scale, because it's too much to try to find them all. It's hard enough finding the apps you have, and using those, let alone when you have all of these different agents working in different places. And then, as I mentioned, we have Copilot Studio and AI Foundry, whether it's that or another development platform that, you want to make sure that you have full control of what's going on. So you can use this model for Microsoft or for others. And then quickly, I just want to say, is talking about with choosing your path of where you want to go with AI. So like I said, you may want to start with pre-built agents and that are customized. So if you see here on the left, I like this. Actually, we have a lot of pre-built agents and connectors and things that we have from our partners. And so that's a way to get going quickly. Most of us are not developers. Yes, I build agents and things like that, but I personally like it when they're done and I can just configure them. So immediate impact is starting with something pre-built or customizable. And then you can build agents from, scratch. And then you can also look at building your own, and we'll go from there. So I know we looked at this slide earlier. I made it a different color, so it looks a little bit different to bring attention to the title, because we're going to go a little bit further here of introducing the agent manager. So I'm going to spend the rest of my time really talking about, thinking about how you're managing as a leader that is thinking about agents and like managing agents. And so I did not build this slide, but I think it's cool. I don't know that I could get this many things going on at once in a slide, but I like the idea of thinking about the agent manager and thinking about scale, the one-to-many. Now, again, I think we're going to have to expand our thinking. I know with AI, it's really been step change. You're having to not just think harder, you're having to think smarter, and thinking it's really challenged us to think very differently. So if you're having things that you're doing, interacting, it's a one-to-many, then many-to-many, you're really going to have to start understanding how these works, and at a minimum, the data flow, right? Like what's going where. And then as you see here, you will have some type of central agent execution database, that kind of is the orchestrator. But, an agent manager might, monitor the performance, resolve edge cases, correct mistakes. I could see someone like in a customer service organization. Yes, you have customer success people working with agents, but then you would have an agent manager, which I think is kind of cool, right? Like where you would be working around, how does this work together? How are the workflows? Is it the most efficient type thing? And so I think that's pretty cool. And then thinking about, like, as you see here in this little video that's playing, you're going to have different feeds from different agents that prompt you as part of a workflow. So I was thinking about this. Oh, this is like email. So it's like agent email. So we call it email hell sometimes. We might end up in agent email hell, but if we have too many. But I think we'll get better at this and knowing what to prioritize and what to look at. So I really like this slide. I think it's cool. All right. So I just quickly wanted to talk about Copilot. And again, I know there's other stuff out there, but just from the context of that window. So if you look here on the left, you have search, you have chat. You remember I talked to you about it's more than just chat. So chat would be like what you use with ChatGPT. Then below you have all these different agents, and then you have like an agent. You can go in and prioritize like which agents you're working with, stuff like that. So you can do it. It's pretty nice to just have it all in one place. So whether it's this or something else, you really need to think about like how you manage it, because this could get out of control, right? You really want to think about your time. And, sometimes stuff can be so complex, like something could be supposed to save time, but you can't find where to go save time anyway. So, and then as I mentioned, like you see here, I was just, if you watch as this goes through the different carousel here, you can see how you'll have different agents, you'll be prompted for different agents and agent store. And so we have a store, ServiceNow has a store. Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to end up being kind of store crazy, but we do integrate with each other. And then you do have the ability to kind of aggregate that together. So I really like the visual and the organization of this. And it does help me be able to use these things and not be scratching my head on where to find it. Like I said, all these slides will be available to you. So, and then there's going to be a lot of pre-built agents, and also that you can customize as well. So we get a lot of those where you can kind of customize it to your group. So think about it, every different scenario. I think it's going to be kind of like AI or, you know, something where I think there'll be a craze. I think there'll be a lot of agents and different things that come out. I do think larger organizations are going to do more of the autonomous agents. And I don't think we at the front end are going to have to do as much on setting them up to deploy, like for these different workflows. I think we'll have to use them. But there are ones that we would use for personal productivity, but there's so much more you can use them for. So we'll talk about that in a moment. And then thinking about multi-agent orchestration, connecting to different agents. Again, I think our sophistication and our thinking of AI as a user is going to have to evolve. I'm actually pretty excited about that. I like to learn new things and see like, okay, well, how can we connect things together? You know, and I think it's pretty cool that like if you have different agents that are interoperative and you can almost build your own custom workflows for them to work together. This is still an emerging market. Like there aren't tons of autonomous agents out there. I mean, sometimes people call things an agent and it's AI that's been around a long time, right? I mean, you can call anything an agent, I guess, but you know, if you think about it, it can work semi-autonomously on your behalf, or it can work autonomously on your behalf. All right. And so when you think about all the different things that you can do, contact center, commerce, finance, customer insights, supply chain, all these different things, right? Again, think about where you work and then how that cascades out, right? So I'm a sales leader in customer success, but I also do it, you know, I have an HR component, I have a finance component. You might be that finance component, but you're going to start seeing, and most enterprises do have, you know, M365. And so, you know, if your company starts adopting this, you're going to really have to keep up on like how these different workflows happen. All right. So to wrap up, I'm going to go through, I created this. I wanted to make it real because I get annoyed when people talk about stuff in theory and then you're like, you didn't give me any real examples. So we do have tons of customer examples, but and you can see those on the website. But what I did is, and yes, I used Copilot, but it was more than one prompt to get this done. But what I've done is I put together, and again, this is available for everybody. What is it like managing a workforce of agents? Like, what could that look like? Right? So you have a role, and then what could different agents look like? So we'll go through this real quick. And so, for example, scenario one, a sales director. You might have a prospecting agent. And I love the idea of having an agent scanning LinkedIn, CRM. You know, sometimes just basic search is not enough. And so I love the idea of having agents being more sophisticated, looking for leads and things like this. I think somebody ought to create something like that. I mean, again, these aren't, just to be clear, these are not like, oh, you can link to a company that I know there's a lot of this stuff out there. These are scenarios of what agents could do. So, you know, meeting scheduler agent, we're getting to that capability now, and Outlook where you can schedule, but wouldn't it be awesome instead of you having to do it yourself and go get all these people like coordinated to coordinate calendars. It's one thing to do it internally. I would love a protocol that could do it, you know, even outside the organization, a forecasting agent, a follow-up agent, a CRM hygiene agent. So I encourage you to really look at this and use this and think about, okay, what do I do? What could agents do? Because you have the ability to go to your company, or if you own a company or you're building stuff like this, to say, what could we build? I mean, you can build any of this stuff in the tools that are out there today. I like this on the supply chain manager side of looking at demand forecast. I mean, instead of having to go do it, it would be great to be able to say, so when you think about it now, you can look at point of sale, you can look at weather, you can look at events, all that's available. It's a lot of time to go out there and look at each one of those things, and you got to put it together. Having an agent that gets it all, aggregates it all together, and presents it to you with insights, that's tremendous. And then I have here on the third column, what's the human role, right? So you do want to sanity check the outliers, but a fleet routing, routing agent. I know you have companies like Blue Yonder and others, they're a big partner of ours that have supply chain software. But like if there's an outage or something's happening or flooding or things like that, being able to aggregate all that in and make recommendations for real time is huge. Suppliers, customs, things like that. Next, I have like a marketing VP running a campaign, a brand voice agent. I love the idea. I mean, imagine if Gerald was, at Microsoft and he asked all 6 of us to speak, and we, we're all given templates in this, but we're like, hey, these are the themes, this is the brand voice. And so you have an agent that can look at all of the presentations and give like advice and feedback on that. That's like tremendous. And so and then adjusting it for nuance. And then it would be so cool to be able to submit something and then you get advice back in collaboration. And it's like, hey, we need you to, you could be more effective this way or that way. I hope people are finding this useful. I found this as I was working on this to prepare. I was fascinated by this and I have really enjoyed, really digging into what does it mean to like thinking about, because this is here, right? Coming in here. An expense agent, wouldn't it be nice to be able to just like take a picture of your receipts and say, I went to this thing, and like it creates everything for you. I don't know about you guys, but there's nothing I hate more than like doing expense reports after a trip. You just upload your receipts, you have an agent that takes care of it and gives you the final piece, and you hit yes. Invoice matching, financial trend analysis, regulatory. I think this would be tremendous, right? Because yes, there are different services that look at for regulatory updates, but regulatory updates and then the impact to you and aggregating that together, tremendous. Chief of staff or EA agent management, again, as much autonomous things that we could do with our calendar. Or what about an agent that says, does this really need to be a meeting? Everybody talk about what you want to do and say, could this be an email? That's a good agent. Could this be an email agent? Maybe I'll go create that because I say that all the time. Could this be an email? Briefings, executive summary. Now, I will say I'm in a level 1 trauma hospital. It's like the technology here is amazing. Epic used to be my customer, like seeing it all in action. Anything that can streamline your experience in the medical space is tremendous, because I will tell you, I would rather those nurses and doctors and technicians be focusing on me versus all of the other things they have to do. And I was talking to one of the nurses because, I've worked with EHRs and I've worked in process and stuff like that. It is amazing to me that you can have a nurse show up They know everything that's going on, what they need to do. And it's not just reading a list. I mean, there's a lot of coordination, and you have people show up and they know, and they, people that don't work together on a regular basis come in and do some life-saving thing. And so I think there's so much opportunity here. And then, bed allocation, stuff like that. All right, learning and development. I love learning. I've worked in learning and development in the past. I like to do these types of things. I like the idea of not just skill gap agent, but like really understanding, like I would love to be able to go in and have something more holistically, like know me, not just a skill, but like you can have a skill, but not be a great communicator. Like you can be a good developer, but not a good communicator. You could be a good communicator, but you need to be more technical, right? So I really like that, and personalized learning. I love that too. The idea, because I mean, everybody hates to waste their time with training. Hopefully this presentation is not a waste of your time. I'm always like at the end, I'm like, I hope that was better than an email. All right. All right, we got to get through this here and then I'll wrap up. So legal operations manager, legal research agent. And again, look at this. I'm not just trying to read that. I'm really trying to highlight, like, when you look at what it does multiple things. So think about it doing multiple things and bringing it together and presenting that, right? So we have that capability at Microsoft where it can go with agents and Copilot that can go research stuff from the web, get financial data internally, and then create it and put graphs together, synthesizing that data and presenting it to you to take action on, right? And so, and I love the idea of like a contracts. I still think this has a way to go. I know there's some, but being able to auto-generate contracts and because and to have that consistency, because we're always short people in this space. And then case workflow, things like that. I know the legal system is not efficient. It takes a long time to do things. And there's not a lot of interoperability there a lot of times, a lot of opportunity there. All right, travel experience, so lots of things you can do there. I'm not gonna dig into that too much. But, and then finally, R&D at a biotech company. I love the idea of, and this can work in a lot of different places, of literature, scanning literature and things like that. But I do want to step back a moment here and just say that I've gone through all these scenarios. Here are the agents, right? But it's like, I would just challenge you to think, what are you going to have to do differently? Especially if you're leading teams, like what are your KPIs going to be? Like, we're really going to have to redefine like what that looks like, right? And okay, you have new information, but also we're going to have new information in a way we haven't seen before, and having new insights there as well. So, there's a lot to learn, but if you're first, there's a saying, it's like AI, if you know AI, it won't take your job, but if you don't, it will, type of thing. And so, who knows on that, but I definitely think, obviously, if you're here, you're interested. I think there's a lot of leadership and opportunities, to really be thinking about what this looks like as it comes out. So these are some of the kind of emerging agent manager type of roles you may see. So you're doing, I think this would be cool, like workflow design, because we always say, oh, we need to do change management and this and that. Nobody ever wants to do it. It's hard, but with the efficiencies and also with a lot of the cuts going on, I think that's going to be a catalyst for change. And so I think how human and agent collaboration works within your company, what are the outputs here, training on enabling it, digital workforce manager. That's kind of cool. Like thinking about what is the productivity of your agents? Like, are you getting that out of there and kind of managing that? So we kind of have this vision of, you might have 10 employees and then you have these different agents. And right now, most people have productivity agents, or maybe they have an agent in the background, but they don't even know it, right? Like I know at Microsoft, there are agents working on my behalf, but I don't have to, I get the benefit of them, but I don't have to manage them. That being said, I do think there's going to be joint agents, and then we're going to have different agents where we're going to be expected. It's not just, oh, isn't it cute to have this little co-sell, go to market agent over here. I think I'll use it. You're going to see this ingrained in the expectation that you will use and you will be supported by, and especially with a lot of the downsizing and doing more with less, you're going to be very grateful to have these capabilities. And so, you can look at yourself as a coach, a conductor, a leader. I do think there's going to be a lot of new work that comes out in leadership development and stuff like that. So I think, I'm almost out of time here. I'm out of content. And so I have plenty of content, but I'm out of my content that I'm going to present today. So Gerald, I'll turn it back over to you. And I appreciate you accommodating me going last because, like I said, I did have this situation, but I ended up being available to present and wanted to go ahead and do that.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate you joining us under such dire circumstances, and the quality of the presentation was phenomenal from the hospital. So thank you for joining us. And a bunch of people want your slides, and the PDF I have is corrupted by Zoom. And so can you upload a PDF of your slides now?
Yes, I
Carol?
can. Do I just
Okay.
go? Oh, here it is. Okay. Let me find it real quick. And yes, I can upload it.
And meanwhile, while she's uploading, you can check the chat in a minute or so. We've had people join us, and there's been a lot of networking going on in the chat. And I want to let you know that the summit isn't over. At the end of the summit, we do network on Zoom. And you'll be able to join us at the end for speakers for networking on Zoom. And we'll meet in breakouts of small groups where you can network with people about AI and the speaker content as well. So I'll give you that link in a moment. I want to thank Vincent Van Schaik for his presentation, and the people from American Management Association for their sponsorship. And we are delighted that he could join us. And he was followed by speaker number 2, Rick Pozniak from Move 78 Solutions. And then we had James D. Feldman from Shift Happens and AIStageFinder. And after James, we had Kevin Murnane from Northwestern University, who spoke about mental health. And finally, we waited for Carol to join us, and she did it just in time. So thank you, Carol, and thank you for uploading a PDF of your slides. Let us know when you've done so.
Yep, I just uploaded it.
Okay,
So,
everybody check the chat now to get her slides.
and you uploaded the other PDF, right? The second one?
No, both of them are corrupted.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
Make sure they can be opened, and I will, there
Okay,
might have been, yeah.
Carol will have 2 slide decks that she's going to upload for you. So be prepared. It pays to stay till the end. And Harvey Castro couldn't join us today. I apologize for those of you that wanted to hear him. We will schedule him for August 21st, our next summit. And I want to thank you for joining us today. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the format, we have summits held the 3rd Thursday of every month, and we're looking for more keynote speakers. We have 2 spots available for August 21st. So if you're interested in being one of the sponsored keynote speakers, contact me. And we are now ready for the end of the summit, where we spend an additional 45 minutes on Zoom meetings. We're going to switch from Zoom webinar now, where we've got thousands of people, and going to switch to Zoom meetings where we'll have a smaller group. And there is a special chat that you all should go to, or a special link I'm going to put in the chat for you now. And you can also just go to networkonzoom.com. We're going to end up in a moment. And in the chat, you'll all want to click on the link I just put in the chat right now. And it should take you to a registration page. You only need to put in your first name, last name, and email address, nothing else. Some people are having issues with downloading slides. If you've got any tips, if anyone has tips, put it in the chat for people that are having issues with downloading slides. I also recommend that you plan to save the chat. You've got to copy the whole thing. It'll be a long doc, but you'll be glad you saved it because you've got links to lots of people, PowerPoint slides, different decks, and tons of additional information. So again, I put in the chat the link to Network on Zoom. You'll have to log out of webinar to join me on Zoom meeting, and I'll be joining in about 2 to 3 minutes. So feel welcome to join us on Zoom meetings now for Network on Zoom. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and the top of my brain for participating today and staying with us for this long a time. We're not done yet. We're going to have networking. And join us on Zoom. Once again, the easy domain to bookmark is networkonzoom.com. If you go to networkonzoom.com, you'll have it there. And I am officially going to say thank you to Robert Savabadi, our Zoom producer, who made today run smoothly. And he's with Online Interpreters Worldwide. And thank you for making things run smoothly. And thank you all for joining us. I'll see you on Zoom meeting in about 2 minutes.